Well, pet hate of mine is trying to line up and tension drive belts. I've got the new ones fitted, so we're trying to get basically the face of that pulley lined up with the face of that pulley, and the belt's tensioned. So that's my straight edge, and it's yeah, a long way out. The best I can get it is I've got about an eighth of an inch here. So the motor needs to kick round and drop. It's basically hanging in 4 slots, and the machine, the base of which is cast, not machined. The motor mounts are machined, but the plate that it sits on isn't. And I remember when I started stripping it all down and cleaning it, I wondered why it wasn't. Yeah. Even if I machined it, I'm not convinced I could get it perfectly lined up. That pulley's very tight on that shaft, and to move it off, I've got a bearing pull it, and I've got to now tap it on. I've got a grub screw on it which I can get at to undo. So yeah, not the most comfortable of jobs trying to do it. Just what you need when you're back off holiday. That's running at 50 hertz. It's a 3rd speed on the box, and it's giving us around about 62 strokes a minute. I've put another couple of shots of grease into the motor bearings and just gone round and lubed it again. It's only on short stroke because it rolls around backwards and forwards because I haven't got it bolted down yet. The belt alignment, I'll get straight as you can see. It's not perfect by any means. After an awful lot of pissing about, it's not bad. It's a touch out down there. As you can see, it ain't brilliant. I can't work out where the error is, and it doesn't seem to matter how I adjust the motor, or even I've had the plate off and shifted that round. It's one of them. I might go back to it at a later date, but they're not vibrating hugely. There's a bit of warmth in them, but they're also brand new belts, so they need to run in. Anyway, enough pissing about on it now. I've got to get on with the next bit, which is to get the tool head sorted out. I wanted to get it so I could get it running and just get it back in its corner out of the way. So this is the lead screw for the tool head. You probably look back through the episodes, you can see me cutting the Acme thread. A lot of work involved for me. That's going to be the graduated dial. It's 100 thou pitch, so I want to mark these off in 10 thou. So basically 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That's the punches, which aren't particularly great. That's just giving them a whack. Anyway, the problem's going to be getting the alignment right on this, so I figured, for the sake of cocking it up and not having a pantograph, I'll have to make some kind of alignment jig, which is going to be basically take this off. It's just a sliding fit when I've not done the thumb screw up. That'll go on to some kind of fixing with a tapped hole, and it's a block basically. I set the distance for that hole from the underside of this raised section. That'll give me my clearance, and then I cut a slot in the raised section on that centre line, make sure that slot is a reasonable fit on this. So the sequence would be fit the disc, check that the offset or the depth that the punch can fit in against that lines the punch between the inner middle line and this outside line, so I get a number either side of that longer the graduation. So I need to measure up that, and then I'm probably just going to make it all up on the shaper. It'll be a nice little simple job, and I've got some offcuts to do it from. And then basically that'll go on there. I've got to then come up with some method of aligning it so that I know that the punch is going to drop to the one side or to the other side of the graduation line. Lock it off, check it's not moved, then put the punch in position, making sure it's A, the right way round, and B, the right number. Number 6 is the same as number 9, just to complicate things, and obviously 10 is 1 and 0. It'd be 100, so I'm just going to mark it off as 10. Bring you back when I've got a bit of material out and start pissing about. Excuse the wobbly hands. I've marked the piece out, so that's where the punch fits. This bit's relieved and there's a hole drilled through, the boss sits there. So I've got a shift, it's just over 8mm deep all the way across. The piece of metal 16mm deep, 65mm wide. I've got a high speed knife tool, high speed steel knifing tool. Set the clapper box over at an angle so that it clears. I'm going to mess about with some different depths of cut to see what works. We're running at, I think it's about 65 cycles a minute. Yeah, God, brain dead at the minute. Not much else to tell at the minute. I've set the stroke to give me 3/4 inch lead in, 1/4 inch past, so I've got the minimum amount of time when it's not actually cutting. Not much else to say, so I'll set you up on the overhead camera mount and fire it up. That's 60 thou depth of cut. The step over is 0.2 of a mil, whatever the hell that is. Ten thou. Not quite up to your mega chips, Steve. What were you doing? 7/8 of an inch, 10 thou thick. I'm just going to stop it and check notes shifted. Oh, looks alright. Just looking at the clearance from the end of the cut, it looks to have shifted a little bit. It's clearing the cut by just 3/16 now, and I'm sure I had it a bit more than that. Oh yeah, these are the chips that stick in my boots. This is the second pass, still 60 thou depth of cut and still 10 thou step over. There's little tiny smoking chips all around the workshop. Funny what goes through your mind when you're otherwise not fully employed. Standing here watching this shaper and I'm thinking about it, the world stands on the brink of nuclear war between Donald Trump measuring his dick against the Kim Jong-un of North Korea. So that time they actually decided nuclear war wasn't really an option. Don't care how much dick waving they do. My arsenal's bigger than your arsenal. Wonderful. Anyway, we're not doing politics. The dog's left the room, so that's just reminding me. No politics. Otherwise I might end up talking about Brexit, god damn it. Like I'm about ready to leap into action with me right hand. I'll just bring you in so you can see the cut. Now we're only roughing it off, but there's just a very slight ripple there, which is the if you imagine this 10 thou step over, So it's not perfectly smooth, but I certainly can't feel a ridge. Right. So that's 80 thou depth of cut with a 20 thou step over, or 2mm deep by 0.2mm. And I'm a nervous machinist, which should be my handle on YouTube. That's 100 thou depth of cut, 10 thou step over. And I can hear it working now. Oh, I'm just cutting down the shoulder now. So if you're not guessed, we're just cutting the slot for the punch. It's the cutting bit's 4.5mm wide, ground with basically a flat approach on the front, about 3 degrees there and then 3 degrees relief either side, and we're right on the edge of what the machine will do without it chattering. Thus we're running the motor at 20 Hertz, so I don't want to be doing that too long. I have got a parting tool holder, but the blade needs a load of regrinding, so this one's a bit wide for what I'm doing. Really I want to be going through with something like an 1/8 width and then open it up, but I ain't got a bit ground like that, so we're making do. I'm not advancing the tool every stroke because that just makes the chatter worse. So I'm giving it every other stroke it gets a thou and a half. 250 thou plus to go. And yes, it would be quicker just to stick a 1/4 inch end mill through if I set the mill up, or for that matter just waz it through on a bloody horizontal mill. Both of which I could do if I could be asked to set the mill up. But as I've not cut many slots with a shaper, I've not even done a keyway yet, it's all good experience. Pretty sure we're not going to burn the tool tip up at this speed. One of the older generation that I'm in the same fly fishing club, he was telling me when he was a boy running a shaper, the guy that was mentoring him on how to set it up and run it said, don't put the cutting lube on the part, put it down on the tool and let it run down. You'll always get to where you want it, and as long as it's nice and thick it will last longer. And when I remember to do that, it's quite true. I read somewhere on the internet where a guy had set up his shaper with a drip feed oiler for the cutting bit. Every time it cycled backwards it put a shot out. We'll let that finish cleaning and then take a measurement and see where we are. No, we're not. We're only got to leave. We've got to leave about, I think it's 1.25 mil between that surface and the bottom of the slot, which you can't actually see on the video, it would seem. So we're getting there. I'll bring you back when I've measured it. So I need 1.9 mil from the bottom of the slot to that face. So I've dug out my old box of metric gauge blocks, which has got a 1.9 mil gauge block in. I've set that in there. I've brought the tool down to its bottom position and then wound the table up until I can just feel the gauge block on the tool. Then retracted locked the table at that height, retracted the tool up, and I'll just advance the tool down now, so we're about ready to cut. So basically now I keep cycling, keep winding the tool head down until it reaches bottom stroke, at which point I know my distance is right. I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but that's what I do. We'll know in a minute. tool head slides would benefit from a bit of fettling, because they're a bit stiff when it comes to trying to get small advances. I had an employer that was like that. So we've just got to open it out to the width of the lines now. I don't know whether I'm seeing things or not, but that looked to me as if the tool never dropped back on two or three of those strokes. Just working to the lines, but rather get it right. It's not critical dimension, you just don't want too much wobble when the punches are inserted. Might have to try one to shape around these big springs from the return stroke. Just try punching that. Bit wide, that. Quite a bit wide. So what we'll do is we'll half it and sneak up on it. Got it stuck. Bugger. God knows what I did with the lines. Anyway, it's good enough for what we're doing. You can spot the deliberate error. That's a grease. That's a grease line. There's room for grease in there. Plenty of thick stuff. Right, so that's the shaper work done. Next job's do some more precision line work, and then drill and tap the hole for the boss to sit. Make a fixing to, well, a spacer for that. So I was turning the spigot to locate the dial on, and that bit popped off. I didn't even know it was welded. Well, evidently it wasn't welded very well. So I was just roughing it off, and about third or fourth cut, and it just went. This thing went plop. So that would have been exciting. Slight modification to the design, and we'll carry on. Main problem is trying to get my head round which way round the punches go. Because it's not only upside down, it's back to front. So I'm cheating and pressing it into a piece of paper beforehand. Sack the juggler. I have laid the punches out in line, but in the absence of any forethought, didn't pull them the right way up. Right, this is a tricky one, as you can see, but it's bent, so I've had to trim a bit off. Number 6 is the same as number 9, so we have to make sure we get it the right way up. Moment of truth. Sorry for the wobbly camera. Where are we? That one's a bit out. That one's twisted. I think they're better than I could have done freehand. Anyway, it'll do.